Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day to everyone that is watching. We're so excited to start out the week with Women in Blazers. And for those of you that we have not seen in a while, Happy New Year's. I don't know how long we can say Happy New Year's. I'm a little old fashioned. I will probably say Happy New Year's the entire month of January. So, like, that's a whole nother conversation. If you all are joining with us today, Happy New Year's, Happy MLK Day, Happy Monday, Happy Day, period. Welcome to Women in Blazers. We're so excited to be here with you today. My name is Elisha Cash, and I am the host of the Women in Blazers show, which is a part of the National Women's Empowerment Ministry community, where we promote women in business, women in careers, and we also come together because of the Red Dress Experience, which is the number one conference for Black women in leadership. And so this is just one of our many platforms that we come together and we're able to be creative and talk about issues that affect Black women in leadership and also provide professional development. So welcome and happy Monday. Today, we're so excited because we have a conversation that we continuously have to have surrounding mentorship and sponsorship. And I am joined today by Jabrea. Hi, Jabrea,
Hey.
who is a fantastic brand strategist. And I'm going to let her tell you a little bit about herself and what she's going to bring to the platform this evening.
Yeah, so thank you for the introduction, Miss Cash. Just to tell you guys a little bit about myself. So my name is Jabrea Shania. I am a personal brand strategist by night, and by day, I'm actually a project manager in visual merchandising. I graduated from the University of West Georgia in 2018. Wow. What feels like light years ago. It zoomed by so fast. I majored in marketing, so that is my career focus and some of my background. So I've been in the job or the career path for about 5 years now. I started pretty early, like interning. I was really critical about starting early. So I would say I have about 5 to 6 years of hands-on experience in my industry. Um, and that's pretty much the introduction of who I am.
Well, we're so excited to have you be a part of our platform today. For those of you that are watching, please go ahead and invite someone to be a part of the conversation. We know it's going to be great. We're excited to be here with you. And many of you probably already have experienced the National Women's Empowerment Community and know about Women in Blazers, to know that tonight is going to be a great conversation around mentorship and sponsorship. Now you have a mentor. Now what? How do you get a sponsor? And so we're going to dive into some great conversation around that. So please go ahead and tag some people tonight. Say hello to us. Tag some people in tonight's conversation. If you see me moving, that's because I am sharing to the platforms to try to wait until we get a few people to log on because we know that it's Monday and it's Monday evening, and we want to give people a few minutes to jump on before we dive into this great conversation. Well, I can already tell you, we were talking a little bit about Happy New Year's. So, you all tell me, when should I stop saying Happy New Year's, Brea? How long will you be saying Happy New Year's?
So honestly, Miss Cash, for me, my new year doesn't start until the spring.
What? I've never heard of such.
Yeah, so I don't feel like winter for me is a time to be like making resolutions because it's still cold outside. Everything is not blooming yet. So I still see winter as like that hibernation season. I don't so much see it as a time to be like resolution, but around spring, that's when I blossom, in my opinion. So when should you stop saying it? I mean, honestly, you got until spring because that's when the real new year, new life blooms. That's how I see it. I don't know, but you tell me.
What Robin says, I should say it up until January the 31st. And so that's kind of what I was thinking. Right. So I have until about January the 31st to keep saying Happy New Year. February 1st, you got to stop saying Happy New Year. I mean, some more Happy New Year after. No more Happy New Year after January 31st. Yes, that's what I thought you were trying to say. No more after January the 31st. That kind of puts a cap on Happy New Year. But we're just excited to be here in 2023. And we know that it's going to be amazing. Someone else said they agreed with you. I agree with that, Jabray. I believe that too. Also, your mojo is not running to the spring, right? So it's really not a new year to the spring.
The spring.
Okay, yeah, that's very new and seasonal to me. But hey, I rock with it.
January is a great time to start making that list and getting warmed up for the spring. And I think that finding a mentor or figuring out who do you want to follow behind, who do you want to advocate for you in your professional career, January is a great time to start making that list and building up the courage and the tools and the resources you need to take that step to either, connect with that person if they're on your floor at work, or if you need to connect with them on LinkedIn, because that courage to reach out to somebody and say, hey, can you mentor me? That doesn't happen overnight. So I think, yeah, January is a great time to start making that mentor list since we're on the note, of, mentor versus sponsor. Some people don't have part A.
Well, since we're diving right into it. So tonight's topic is have a mentor. Great. Now it's time to find a sponsor. And before we can even dive into mentorship and sponsorship, let's just talk about the difference, because sometimes people think they're like one and the same. They're the mentor, sponsor, and even coaches. People kind of confuse that all of those roles are the same. So, Jabrea, let's talk about the difference. What is the difference between mentorship and sponsorship?
So for me, I am not 100%. When I think about sponsor, I think about the collegiate level when people were moving into an organization. So when I apply that to adulthood, I'm like, okay, what does sponsorship truly mean? So I'm going to pull to you for that definition. But mentorship for me is when you have someone who has paved the way before you and they give you the foundational pieces that you need to excel and start your career. Because there's a lot of politics that happens on the other side of graduating that you will not know unless somebody tells you about it. You will not have that, I want to say that advantage that
Yes.
come out of college, we're really naive to what the real world looks like. And a mentor really gives you the game plan on this is how you can execute in your career. This is how you can approach job interviews. This is how you can network and leverage your resume.
So that is good. So a sponsor, a mentor definitely is a person that engages conversation with you and kind of guides and listens and hears you. And a sponsor is willing to put their reputation and credibility in service to make sure that you're successful. So that's kind of like the difference. Sponsors kind of get behind you and kind of say your name in spaces that you're not necessarily in. I know many of you seen me post things like that, like pull somebody a part of your network that is willing to say your name in spaces, in rooms that you're not a part of. And that's what a sponsor does. I talk a lot about that in my book, The Little Red Networking Book, which I'll kind of pull a little of that out later as we kind of dive in the conversation. But that is pretty much the difference. And it's very important for a mentee to kind of understand the difference, because it helps you understand even the expectation to kind of have from a mentor versus a sponsor. It helps you, and as a mentee, it even helps me as a mentor, it helps me to know the type of relationship that I am providing for individuals as well. Are we providing a mentor relationship or am I providing a sponsorship relationship? And they're totally two different things. Anybody have any questions as you're watching? You have a different perspective. You have a sponsor. You have a mentor. We want to hear from you as well. Now that I helped you kind of understand the difference, what do you think about what I just shared with you? Brea.
So while we're waiting for them to answer that, I think for me and people that are in my millennial age ranges,
Yes.
is there an age range for mentorship versus sponsorship?
No, absolutely not. There's no age range at all. No, I have a sponsor and I have a mentor. So there's no cap to this by all means. But one of my Gallup strengths is learning. And so for me, I'm going to be a forever learning. Even when I reach a certain level, then I begin to even seek out someone at the next level of growth for me that I am trying to reach. And I make sure that I pull them in to be into my network, so I'm either a mentor and B sponsored. So no, there is not a cap for age by no means.
Got it. Yeah. For me, and how our relationship has developed, and you started as my mentor when I was 15 years old. Now I'm 26, so it's like that transition in the relationship. You don't
Yeah.
can you have a sponsor first and then a mentor, or does it develop from mentorship to being there? My sponsor. That's what my age timeline is in question about.
Well, uniquely so, what I have seen and observed within for around women, especially, um, when I look at the different generational breakdowns, everyone's lens on mentorship and sponsorship is different. And
Mhm.
as we are evolving in this space and trying to navigate into executive leadership, we're seeing the difference in having a sponsor and a mentor, the difference in having a mentor. So, mentorship gets you to a certain space, up to a certain space. And I think we have gotten the mentor thing down a little bit. There's still some gaps in understanding what that mentorship is and the value of that mentorship component is. Because you were very fortunate to be in your career and have a mentor. Me, on the other hand, growing up in my career, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have someone to kind of guide me and provide that mentorship. And so I guess the counteract to that is the National Weed Ministry community to make sure that we help and develop those relationships. But I do have quite a few, I had quite a few powerhouse women in my circle, and they didn't understand this concept of mentorship. They didn't quite understand what it meant and what was their responsibility. They kind of felt like, okay, I got my success this way, and so you're gonna have to get your success that same way too. You know, the way that I came, I made a lot of mistakes trying to get things. You're gonna need to make those same mistakes. And then once you get to this level, then I'll entertain you. And so oh yes, oh yes, but now we have found having that type of perspective has not allowed us to break through these glass ceilings, that we had to go back and rewrite how we mentored and have different conversations on how we get to certain spaces. So if you're watching and you experience these things, please make sure you've dropped them, drop it in the chat. But now when you talk about sponsorship, um, when we get to certain spaces as especially Black women, when we've navigated into executive leadership, it's very important that we make room for others. And we haven't seen a whole lot of that, where people are willing to say name in spaces that and we just got to get better at it. I mean, this is just this conversation. We can get better. We can do better. We can get better at it, and saying names in spaces that women are not in. So, to answer your question, the best thing for women to do is to start out with a mentor. It'll be great if that happens, because then
Mhm.
the person feels like the relationship is genuine. I had the opportunity to see you bloom and to see you grow into this wonderful, phenomenal businesswoman. I can stand behind your brand at any means. So if someone says, "Oh, I need someone that can do this," oh, I know that Brea can do the job. So I can stand behind your brand. I can put my neck and my name behind you. So it
Mhm.
gives me that confidence to do that, to move into that sponsorship lane. Um, when you don't start out with a mentorship relationship and you're just seeking out sponsorship, it's very tricky um,
Yes.
in how you do that. Go ahead, chime in.
I want to say I agree to that because I have found so much value in our relationship, I have attempted to bring my peers to you so that they can have that same experience, but there's not always a common connection. Because some people are just not in that mindset, like the maturity to follow the directions of somebody else and to really understand what does that mentor and mentee relationship look like and how it can help you develop on your own. Because as new millennial entrepreneurs, we feel like just as as in total, we know it all. And if what we don't know, we'll figure it out online. We don't need to have a personal relationship with somebody to advance in our career or our business. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out from our peers. We'll figure it out from somebody on Instagram that we look up to that we'll probably never have a relationship with, but we'll just stick onto their words and what they're telling us. And we don't always want to, and I'm just saying we, just as speaking as my generation, we
Yes.
don't always want to, I don't want to use the word submit. So for lack of better words, I would say take the direction of somebody else. I'm just being completely transparent in that, because I have had say like, oh, I have a really close friend. I think that, you should try to adopt her as your mentee, but that connection doesn't always work out, and people just have to learn lessons on their own. And then it's, as their peers, like I can only lend you so much advice because we're not in the same boat, but we're kind of tracking on the same field.
Yes.
I give you so much advice. You really need a mentor. And people are like, no, I don't think I need one. And I don't know if mentorship has a bad, people just don't know what it really truly means, is why they shrug their shoulders to it. So that's another thing that I want us to like, what is that? Why are people so hesitant to seek mentorship? Women, black women.
I don't. You brought up some very key. You said some very key words, because I pick up on language. One of the things you said was submit. That in itself, first of all, women have a problem with the word submissiveness. Submit, period. Not all women. Let me not say that, because I don't want anybody jumping in my DMs later. Not all women. But a good bit of women struggle probably with that language, So if you're trying to attract someone in your age bracket to be a part of a mentorship program or be up underneath someone's tutelage, to say, okay, you need to submit. I don't know if that's going to be the proper language to attract them with that, with that in itself.
Yeah, I think one part of that though is like, as I develop into a woman and really knowing that submission just means you're lending your service to somebody else, like removing negative connotation. So when I'm like, we just got to get comfortable with saying submit. It's in the Bible. It's the foundation of who we are as people. Mm-hmm. But I do understand that, the word has just not yet developed in a lot of our everyday language, but there is a sense of, I am going to be of service to somebody else as they teach me how to be a better version of myself. A lot of millennials, Gen Z, and other generations, they don't see the point of pouring into somebody else or listening, taking advice that they have not. What am I trying to say? Taking advice from somebody else that they don't fully see like the popularity of is something that a lot of people have. Use a minute application. Exactly. It's something they have an issue with. And we just try to follow influencers and giant speakers instead of the people that can truly support and help us. So when I say like just that submission, is like being of service to, like, hey, this is my mentor. And she fills out all of my referrals. She sends me job recommendations. She helps me with my resume. And I provide services for her in a manner of, if she needs me to volunteer for something, I'm there. If she says, hey, Brea, I'm working on something, can you look over it? I'm going to do it. Like there's that servitude that comes along with being a mentee that a lot of people don't want to put the work in. And I think that that's a conversation that we need to have, even when you're my elder, but even when it's lateral, like, hey, yes, we're the same age, and wait, should I be of service to you, even though we're on the same level? That's true conversation to have, because people see mentorship and mentee like this, when sometimes it can be stepping stones for each other.
Oh, it definitely can be. It can be peer to peer. You can definitely have a peer mentor, someone that may be in your same age bracket, but they have more experience, you know? And so that goes back to always being teachable and being able to learn from no matter who the person is. If they have some knowledge that you need, or they have some skills that you need, being able to submit and be up, and be up under their tutelage and kind of learn. And so I think that's what that whole mentor piece is good. So some people are doing well with the mentorship pieces, but some other people, you got to kind of start there, because that could be your missing component. That could be the whole reason why you're missing something in your career or even in your business. To help someone, have someone show you the different ways of doing things without you having to learn them on your own. I mean, you could cut down your learning curve, and
Yes.
like I mean, you just really can. So that brings me to my next question. What do you think about the comment, Black women are both over mentored and under sponsored, and how this is contributing to the lack of upward mobility in leadership?
Ooh. Can I be honest? I
Yes.
think this is true, because as entrepreneurs, there's a lot of programs that say we'll mentor you, which is typically people showing you the experiences they've had. Hey, when I grew my e-commerce business, this is the 10 steps that I took. But sometimes you need a sponsor. You need somebody who could say, I can plant a $10,000 seed into your tech startup. I could plant a $10,000 seed into your new business plan, or I can connect you with a lender that I know personally who can help you with the business loan process. That is something that's missing in our community, because we're just living in a society where we just hear all this motivational talking, and this is how you should fix your mindset and your attitude. But sometimes we just need cash in the bank. Sometimes we just need somebody to put you in the room. Like, thank you for the advice, but put me in the room. Thank you for the advice, but how can I get an interview with your hiring manager? I think that is a missing piece, when it comes to being under sponsored and over mentored as a young Black woman.
Mhm. So, with that being said, are you positioning yourself to be connected to sponsors? Because that's another thing. It, like I said before, it's easier for someone to say, "I can get behind you as a professional, and I can sponsor you. I can say your name in rooms to say, okay, I highly recommend Jabrea because I've known you. I know your work ethic." Because when someone is sponsoring you, especially when you're looking for $10,000, that's not, they're getting behind you and
Yes.
the work that you're doing. And so sometimes we have to build up that credibility and work on that credibility first. And that's where you come in really great with the whole brand. How do we know what you do, and how do we know that you do it well?
That's and I think that's a part of being of service to people. They
Yes.
know how good you are until you have worked either with them, for them, or in their circle. I can't advocate for you if you have never been of service to me or someone else. So that kind of piggybacks off of our initial point when it comes to submitting, to other people. Just, submitting yourself in a servitude way. You can meet somebody because you have your little networking book. People think that meeting somebody at an event is creating a connection. No,
Right.
you just spoke and never continued the relationship, and
That's
now
the one.
you have a large project coming up, and you're like, oh my gosh, let me see if she can lend her hand to me. You never fostered the relationship. You just
Yes.
introduced yourself at an event and called it
Yes.
network,
Yes.
and that was just part A. You never continued on. But I think a lot of people don't know that networking isn't just introducing yourself. Networking is fostering a relationship and being of service to people that you want to be connected to.
Yes, because a lot of times people they want to feel that the relationship is genuine. They don't want to feel like you're only using them to get to a certain place.
Mhm.
Um, but some of us have a different level of an assignment attached to us, because like I said, I know in my particular role that I'm going to be used, because this is a service role where I lend out my gifts and talents to pay it forward for other women.
Right.
And a lot of times it's an unction that I get to say, hey, this person is worth the investment. Let me sit down and talk to them. And because I believe I have something that a missing piece that this person needs, or I know someone that has the missing piece. And so I think those are huge components to sponsorship that we as Black women are missing out on taking the time to make sure that we are providing once we have reached spaces of influence.
Yes.
That's the piece. Now you're at the table.
Yes.
You've made it to the table. You have the title and you have the money to go with the title. Come on, okay?
About
Now
it.
now how do we make room for others? What are we doing to make room for others at the table? Crickets. Exactly.
That is extremely valid. I think for me in the position that I am in, um, when I have a room at the table, I'm going to share it with my network, right? Hey, my recruiter, here's my recruiter's email. This is how I got in the door at this, Fortune 500 company. Here are the steps that you can take. Um, but sometimes it's not always what you know, and it's who you know. Like, okay, if I send this to 10 people and they all put an application, who do you know internally outside of me to help you leverage your connections? And I think that's a missing piece as well, because I have said, like, hey, here's my recruiter. I know you're looking for a job. Here's my recruiter's email and contact information, right? But then when it's time for like letters of recommendation and referrals, because my friends or my peers have never maintained contact with their previous bosses, managers, or foster any mentors and mentees, they're like, oh, I don't have anybody to write my letter of recommendation for this job role. So it's like
Mhm.
you have to stay ready, as we say, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. When people do pull you up to the table, do you have all your ducks in a row? Are you actually ready to enter to inside of the room? That's something that I think is missing, because sometimes we don't want to bring our underprepared friend to the table, because that mirrors, our discernment. And I love you and I think you're great, but I don't want you to, oh, this friend, she's gonna drop the ball on this project, but I like her, so I'm gonna bring her on. Now, I don't want that on my name. So I think that having credibility is what helps people bring you to the table. And then on the other end, I think removing your ego, like once you get into that C-suite level, um, and you have all your degrees and you feel like, oh, well, I had to have, my master's, my PhD. I had to have my master's, my PhD, and my friend may not have these accolades. So does she really deserve a seat at the table? That's a discussion that we truly need to have, because people do feel like sometimes, okay, well, I'm more esteemed than her, and maybe she needs to have the same credentials as me in order to have a seat at the table. That's something that may be happening in a C-suite level, and that's why people are not bringing their peers on board with them. But it's something that we have to talk about.
Mhm. I think Nichelle is saying there almost needs to be a database of mentors and sponsors that someone can apply to via invite, referral of some sort. And I guess that's still to be admired, because there are a few mentoring programs, but then there's not one that says, okay, here's a sponsor. If you're looking for a sponsor program, then and those, because those relationships are I guess are very unique in itself. If you ask anyone, any successful person anyway, how they advance in their careers, you'll likely hear the common themes like strong performance or passion to excel, tireless work ethic. But if you push them one step further, you're kind of drilled down to find out that somebody said their name, like, oh, someone made a recommendation for them. Somebody said their name in a room that they weren't in that gave them the extra push or the opportunity. And that's what I say all the time. For me, Black women, they just need the opportunity. You know, they already have the education, they already have the training, they already have the skill set. They're just missing the opportunity. And sometimes is there's a gap between having checked all these boxes and having a sponsor and having an opportunity. Let's say this, and then I know our time is moving, but as a young woman in your career, what do you think about this comment from a mid-level professional aspiring to the executive leadership role? I wasted 10 years talking to the wrong people. To avoid this same mistake, what strategy would you implement to secure the right type of sponsor?
Wow. Wow. Okay. So I spent 10 years talking to the wrong people. What would I do in exchange for that? What qualifies people as being the wrong person? Did you just not leverage the correct relationships? That's my first.
Well, I'm taking it as if, let's say, for example, that you've kind of thought you were networking and being mentored and
Mhm.
by a person that can help you get to the table, and you spend 10 years doing that, and this person or these people that you have been trying to navigate and develop this relationship with were not the people of influence that could get you a seat at the table or help you in your business. And so this person felt like, okay, I wasted 10 years, you know, trying to get in with this person, right?
Right.
Network with this person, and to find out that they didn't have the influence to help to help them get to the table, or they didn't want to help them have a seat at the table. So in order to avoid that same mistake, what strategy would you recommend? Even someone in your age bracket, as a millennial, what would you recommend?
So I'm gonna bring up an old school saying: never put all your eggs in one basket.
Okay,
You
right.
have to have a diverse strategy in every single thing you do, including your career and networking. Um,
Mhm.
don't want to put all of your ambitions in one person's hands. So, in my recommendation, make sure you have multiple mentors or multiple people in multiple places so that if one person doesn't work out, you have other people to lean on. I don't ever want to put so much pressure on one person to fulfill that role for me. It's just not possible, nor is it a safe thing to do. Um, so when it says, dang, I spent all this time being groomed by this person and they didn't get me to where I was supposed to go, you have to check yourself. Why did I put so much power or um so much power in this person's hands to think that they could take me where I needed to go? I needed to be networking with the people that were lateral to them. I need to be networking with the people that were underneath them. I don't need to just have my eyes on the shooting star. I need to look at everything around me so I can take full advantage of that. That's a strategy that I recommend because you never know who knows somebody else. So you may overlook the smaller people, the administrative assistant, but that's the person that gets your resume up to the next level. So I would say you need to foster relationships on every single level and never put all your eggs in one basket ever in anything that you do. You want to have a diverse group of people that you can lean on and that can be a reference for you.
Mhm. One of the things I recommend people do is have a growth plan. And when you have a growth plan, it's something that you have to come back to reevaluate where you are. I think even in relationships, you have to reevaluate relationships. It's okay. We audit, well, you should audit your inbox on
Yeah.
year, at least yearly, where you take a look at your emails to say, okay, did I purchase anything from this particular vendor or this store? If not, I'm going to unsubscribe because you know you could have thought, okay, this was going to be a good connection, or I'm going to frequent this person, but do I want them clouding up my emails, or because is it beneficial? And
Right.
so just like you have to do an audit or of your emails, like I'm in the midst of doing that now, going through my emails and hitting unsubscribe, unsubscribe. How many people have started unsubscribing from different email lists
Miss
already?
on a heavier level, because when it comes to investments, I found out that I was spending $410 on business expenses subscriptions.
Mhm.
Google, Slick Text, Typeform. Just, I mean, money going everywhere. And those little
Yes,
15, 20, $30 subscriptions were
yes,
adding behind my back.
yes,
And
exactly.
I had to purge it. Like I went through my bank statement. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to
Yes,
purge this. But that's the
yes,
same thing that you need to do with networking. You need to do a checks and balances. You need to be checking your account. You need to be checking who you have been communicating with over the last few months to see, are you still in good grace with them? Do you need to set up a lunch or a
yes,
coffee date to reconnect with somebody? This is your favorite boss 3 years ago. Hey, it's the holidays. You should send her a digital card to
yes.
keep that relationship going instead of waiting till you're looking for a new job opportunity and to knock on her door. Oh, hey, Miss Erica, I know we haven't spoken 5 years, but I was seeing if you could write me a letter of recommendation. No way. Relationships don't work like that. You want to continue to have some line of communication with people that you know you would like to leverage in some point when it comes to your professional advancement. And then the people who don't serve you well, go ahead and clear out your inbox to make room for other connections.
And on your growth chart, you want to make sure that's good, Brad. All those were great points, especially about auditing and looking at your your bank statement to see who you need to remove. It's the same thing even with relationships. Okay, I need to contact this person, send this person an email, reconnect or not, or disconnect. But the other thing is to help people find sponsors. Look at your network. Look Take a good strong look at your network and find out who's in your network that is doing exceptional
Yes.
at something that you want to do, who's doing exceptional. And then not only that, who has the time, who knows your brand, who knows a little bit about you already, that you can begin to connect with in their space. Find out some things that you can help them do, help them with, be of service,
Yes.
be of service to them,
Yes.
and let them see you up close and personal, um, deliver on some of the things that you are asking for, because it's kind of hard to get behind a person, and sponsor them if they don't know what it is that you offer, if you can fully commit to doing that, because these people are putting their neck out for you. And if you want people to say your name in spaces that you're not in, they have to know what it is that you do and what it is that you do well.
Yes, exactly that, exactly that. Because a lot of times we as women, we're just really humble. I don't want to tell people that I'm the most amazing at this, so I'm gonna speak quietly. I'm gonna attend a networking event. Like we have the Red Dress Brunch coming up in February. I'm gonna attend the event, but I'm just gonna tell them, oh, I'm thinking about becoming a consultant, rather than saying, hey, I have 10 plus years experience in this field and I'm making a transition into this field and I'm looking for some networking connections to make. It's like having that sense of confidence is what's needed when you want people to stand behind your brand. Um, I think, yeah, that's a missing gap, because I know we're going to talk about this soon, but like the Red Dress Experience, there's hundreds of women in the room. You want to have a growth strategy, you would have a communication strategy. It is exciting to be around so many successful people. But if you don't go into it with a strategy, you could end up falling flat on what your original goal was when you came into the room.
Well, we hope to see everyone at the Red Dress Brunch, and Red Dress Experience this year. The conference is just right around the corner. And we're so excited to host it back again in February, and it's at the Hotel Avalon this year. We had it at the Hotel Avalon last year. You don't want to miss it.
So,
Make sure you go to the website to find out more information about the Red Dress Experience. We have more in-depth conversations like we're having today. The whole schedule is laid out. We have phenomenal speakers, laid out on who's going to be speaking on the platform. This is the number one platform for Black women in leadership. If you aspire to be a leader, you want to make sure that you're connected to this particular platform. And whether it's national, I mean, because we expect, even though we're here in Atlanta, we get quite a few women that fly in to be a part of our experience. And so you want to make sure that you're in Atlanta on February the 18th. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It is a hybrid experience, virtual on Thursday, in person on Friday. We have a luncheon that I'm so excited about. Is our mental health luncheon, overcoming workplace trauma. Oh,
Mm.
it's gonna be so amazing. And then even that evening is a whole mixer. And so I'm the type of person, when I host a conference, I want people to be able to come and actually experience the venue, because the venue is so nice, and you have shops, and you have massage therapy therapists where you can go to the Woodhouse Day Spa. The spa is in walking distance. Everything is in walking distance. I want you to experience my number one hideaway spot for women. So make sure you come. Go ahead and register. We look forward to seeing you. Jabrea, please let people know how they can follow you if they want to learn more about your branding business, your branding company. Please let them know.
Yes, so you can connect with me on Instagram. On Instagram and LinkedIn. Just put in my name. I am the one and only Jabrea, so I'm not hard to find online. And then you're actually meeting me at the Red Dress Experience. So we'll be able to connect there and transfer our contacts so we can stay in touch and foster a relationship beyond just greetings, but really fostering a relationship in regards to mentorship and sponsorship. So you can find me everywhere online under Jabrea, and then you can also find me at the Red Dress Experience on February 18th.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Jabrea. We look forward to seeing you. And thank you all for whoever watched us tonight. We will be right back here next Monday at 7 p.m. Good night. Thank you.